Hignet's corner, beyond Bent. Janssen! And Blackburn Rovers are 18 minutes away from a Premiership return.
As far as Stewart, just outside the penalty area, clips it central for David Dunn. David Dunn equalises! It just had to be. Dack's corner and it goes. Glance towards goal, and Rovers have taken the lead. And Charlie Mulgrew has scored his 14th of the season. It may well be the goal that sends Rovers back into the Championship.
Good evening, Rovers fans, and welcome to another edition of On the Other Side Live with me, Ryan Hildred from Rovers Chat. Rovers did stop the rot at the weekend, but it was a disappointing draw at home to Coventry City, as we did make it 6 without a win. And we now embark on a very tough set of fixtures in March and start with a trip to playoff chasing Reading tomorrow night. And I'm delighted to be joined by Dave from the Elm Park Royals channel and podcast. How are you, Dave?
Doing well, thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, and appreciate you giving up your time as well, because you are working as well. So really, really appreciate you giving that up for us, Dave. Just a little bit of housekeeping for Rovers fans before we do get started. If you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, please make sure you've hit that bell symbol to turn on all notifications, and you'll get that notification of when we've gone live with all of our video content. And if you're not subscribed, of course, please hit that subscribe button, and please give this video a like and all of our other videos a like across our channel. And if you did want to support our channel, we do have Super Chat available again this evening. I'll just bring up the fans wall from the last show that we did. FM Works, Ben the Boss, Michael, RJ ×2, and Callum Robinson. Really, thank you very much for your donations across the watch along and post-match live stream shows. You know, we love bringing you the content, and we are really, really grateful for all of you that do support us. But as we always say, there is no obligation whatsoever to financially donate to our channel. We'll keep running through the comments as we always do. And then just as another little bit of housekeeping tonight, we're really, really delighted to announce the continued growth of our channel with a new sponsor who's joining us, and that is Blue Rose Capital, who I've got here. They're going to be coming in alongside 6 Yards Out to sponsor our channel. So really thank you to Blue Rose Capital for your kind sponsorship. You join 6 Yards Out. At the bottom of your screen there, you can see 6 Yards Out and Blue Rose Capital there as really kind sponsors for our channel this season. And again, we're really grateful to you guys. And Dave, before we get started, it is a reminder to all our fans that we are sponsored by, as well as Blue Rose Capital, 6yardsout.com. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below. Thank you to 6yardsout.com and Blue Rose, as I say, for the sponsorship this season. Before we get started, Dave, just a big shout out to Kevin, who's making a real good habit of joining our streams before we go live. Early bird catches the worm at 7:30 p.m. our time, so big shout out to you, Kevin, for getting in there early as usual. So there we go, Dave. That's enough of my waffle. Let's make a start on this preview. I spoke to Paul from your channel back in October when Reading at that point was 6 wins and 1 draw from your opening 7 games. And Rovers had also started the season well. And I think there was optimism from us, you know, Rovers, that we could beat you that night. And it didn't happen. You went 7 points clear at the top that night. And since that point, I think it's fair to say a lot of pundits and particularly fan sites across social media have been predicting the fall of Reading. But to your credit, you're still right up there in 5th spot. So how pleased are you so far with the season?
Well, first of all, thanks for the happy memory of October when we were up the top there. This season has been somewhere in the order of maybe 1 million times better than we were expecting for the last 6, 7, 8 years, even including that time we got to the playoff final. It wasn't as good of a season. Every other season, we've been battling relegation. We haven't had a clue on the pitch. The players didn't really look like they cared about playing for us. It's been a pretty miserable time to be a Reading fan. So this season has beyond exceeded expectations. It's not just about, like, obviously you love being at the top of the table, you love seeing your team win, but it's about the team being together again and actually looking like they want to be out there, they want to play. It's been so long, it just feels great. And yeah, very unexpected, but having a great time. And yeah, many thought we were going to drop off. We did to an extent, but not to the extent that everyone expected.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's fair to say you've taken everyone by surprise, not just the start to the season, but the fact you have maintained it as well. And especially with a relatively unknown manager in 𝐕𝐈𝐃𝐄, who I did speak to Paul about earlier on in the season. So just sum up the job that he's done, you know, as well as that team spirit that you've described, just everything else that he's done. You know, he's taken you from a side that came mid-table last season and you're just 3 points off what you got last season points-wise. And now you're genuine playoff contenders. So just sum up the job that he's done on and off the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the job he's done is actually even better than it looks on paper, because we finished mid-table. But last season, for a lot of it, it didn't even look like we were going to get mid-table. It looked like we were going to be looking over our shoulders again. In the end, between a good spell over Christmas and well, actually, Wigan going down pushed us up from 15th to 14th, so that was nice too. But the job he's done has taken that where we would have a game where we play really well, a game where we would look like we don't played football before, another game where we were playing well and just threw it away. Just the mental strength wasn't there, and whatever he and his staff have done to turn that mental game around. Because if you look at last season's squad and this season's squad, the only real difference is the signing of Josh Laurent, which has been huge because he's, you know, one of the best signings we've made in the last 10 years. But other than that, people in the squad, people starting, very similar to last season. So there's something he's done behind the scenes to get that mental strength higher. And from what we've heard, actually prepare based on the opponent we're about to face. Now, it's mind-blowing that that's a new thing for us this season, but it does look like before it was more general, okay, this is how we're going to play, and now it's, this is who we're playing against, this is how we exploit that. And you see that come through in the results and the performances.
And it's really interesting what you've just said there, actually. This is a completely unscripted question, so it's just off what you just said there. So two things for Rovers this season. We've spoken about in our fan base that Mowbray worries about the opposition too much, actually. And that's actually his criticism. So interesting that 𝐕𝐈𝐃 is getting some joy with that. And if I was to describe Reading and Rovers with the greatest respect, I think Rovers at the moment are a side which are less than the sum of our parts, and Reading are probably a side which are greater than the sum of your parts. So yeah, really, really interesting based on what you just said there. And yeah, fascinating to see the difference between our seasons. But let's look at the recent form though, Dave. You know, it has started to show some signs of cracks with no home win in your last 3 games and then 4 defeats in your last 8, if I just bring those up there. What's been happening recently, and have you got any genuine concerns about this form being a bit more fatal and it taking you out of the playoff picture?
Yeah, I think that's the concern right now. So the cause of each of our drop-offs, we've had 2 periods where we were going great guns and then drop down in terms of performance level. Both times it's come down to squad depth. We have a fantastic starting 11, maybe 1 or 2 subs. Beyond that, it's not the same level. So you get some key injuries and then it all goes by the wayside. Right now, the 2 that we're missing the most are Mate and Swift. Without them in the side, it's been difficult. One thing that has been a little concerning lately is that it seems to be games that we're losing the mental battle. These non-greens that we see on the screen here, you know, we went out and beat Bournemouth convincingly, like deserved 3-1 winners. And then not long after, like a week later, we looked like we couldn't be bothered to be there at Stoke. Like, it wasn't like we withstood pressure. It wasn't that we were frustrated by their defense. We just didn't seem to want to do anything. The Brentford game, scoreline doesn't reflect the result. We kind of let it slip when we shouldn't have. I think a draw would have been fairer there. And the Millwall game was just switching off at the end. We were goal up, and then a little bit towards the end, made some poor changes. Paunovic, touching on your previous question, yes, he's a bit of an unknown. He's new to England and the Championship. His one weakness is the occasional mystifying decision in substitutions or how he sets up to start a game. The Millwall game, poor substitutions, and then the team switched off, and then 2 well taken but poor goals to concede. Beat Bristol City, but it looks like, oh, we're back on track. But you look at Bristol City that night, and really it was more about them doing poorly than us doing really well. But we did the job.
Yeah.
Middlesbrough, we never got started, and again, it was some of the decisions being made from personnel. That's like, why is this person starting? Why are you bringing this person on now? And then the Wycombe one is the absolute number one example of that. Set up with like 6, maybe 7 defensive players against a team bottom of the league that have trouble scoring. Sat back, yeah, it was just one of those. So that's the concern. Like, is it going to be something where we've now let the chasing pack catch up to us? We had like a 8-point buffer. If we'd have beaten Borough, it would have been 11 points. We had this nice cushion to 7th. We've let them catch up now. So did the nerves come in? Do we make these bad decisions again in terms of who to bring on and when? That's what we want to make sure doesn't happen. Looks better on Saturday against Rotherham. Didn't make the same mistakes, but let's see how we do against you.
Indeed. And, despite what you've said there about those last 8 fixtures, unlike Rovers, March looks like a month. I was looking at your fixtures where Reading can really target and stay on track with, you've got home games against Rovers, Sheffield Wednesday and QPR, then away to Forest and Birmingham. So do you think Reading fans are hoping for a good points haul before the international break, starting with Rovers, who are bottom of the form table at the moment?
Yeah, definitely hopeful, but not taking anything for granted. We've made that mistake before. We start looking at form tables, we start looking at where people are in the league, and we're like, oh yeah, we'll get 3 points there. And it isn't really the case. One thing that's been brought up is like, we maybe struggle against the hard-working teams, the ones that do their homework and shut down chances. That can be a problem for us. So you look at the next 4 or 5 games coming up, there's some teams that fit that criteria in there. So I'm hoping that we've learned our lesson, but we definitely have been given a series of games that if we are serious playoff contenders, we can solidify that, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of my thoughts on it. It's going to tell you a lot, I think, isn't it, going into that international break about whether you really are going to make the playoffs, just looking at those. So if we look at Reading in a bit more detail, then Rovers fans will be familiar with this from the show. It's just a basic stats table that we've taken from whoscored.com. So this is your home form. So, pretty solid across those metrics there, and also showing your clinical side, which you have got with the number of goals compared to your shots per game. So what has your home form been like this season, despite those last 3 games, where we spoke about the challenge?
Home form suffered compared to away form. We seem to like going away a bit more at the moment. The home form over the course of the season has been decent, especially versus previous seasons in recent history. We do, generally speaking, tend to have a very high conversion rate of a very small number of chances. And that's usually why people think we were going to drop away. You can't sustain that. We effectively have sustained that because of the individual quality of players like Elise and Lucas João, especially. Like João will just unlock a defense on his own on his day. Couple of recent games where he hasn't quite clicked. It's been a long season. He's got a lot of goals. Maybe that's catching up with him. But we have relied on that quite a lot, yes.
And I do have to mention one thing about your home form in the Championship. No draws for a start, which I found just crazy. And then just really random little runs and sequences. So my brain works like this. It was 1-4, lost 2, 1-2, lost 2, 1-3, lost 3. So is there any reason why you've not drawn a game at home yet? You know, what's going on in your home games?
Yeah, sound like a broken record here, but I'm pretty sure it all comes down to that mental thing. So Pauno's done a great job of addressing the mental game that's being lost, but Rome wasn't built on a day. And so when it goes wrong, it goes really wrong. When it goes well, it goes really well. So there's no draw, because if we are there and we're on, we score enough to like see the game out, and that's the game's put to bed, usually in the first half, actually. It's really weird. With like the first 10-15 minutes, traditionally we start very slowly, and then we finish the game up in the first half if we win. When it drags on into the second half, you start to get a little bit worried, because we don't seem to do too much in that second period. But then you look at these like runs of form, and when we're doing well, we build on it, and then something goes wrong and we lose, and then we lose maybe the next one, or we come close to throwing it away. So I think that's where you get those patches in, and I hope they're continuing their work to address that.
Yeah, I was just fascinated by the symmetry of it all. It was, it was quite funny looking at your home form before this.
Yeah.
So another one that Rovers fans will be familiar with is just the basic stats on your key performers this season. So that's across goals, assists, and the WhoScored.com rating. So first one, a man that Rovers are very familiar with, and that is the ever unpredictable but a lot more consistent Lucas Howe. So what a season he is having. Talk about how crucial he is for you.
He's outrageous. He's the striker we've been waiting for a decade. We haven't had someone like him since the glory days of the mid-2000s. And that brief purple patch we had when we did well in 2011, 2012. He is unpredictable in terms of no one knew how he was going to do before he came to us, when he was here. Sometimes you'll get the game where he doesn't seem to show up, and other times he does really well. But when he turns up, he is outrageously good. And this season, he's been turning up most games. So for a while there, he was on goal a game ratio, which we haven't had that in, I can't remember the last time. He has the ability to, the number of times we've had goals this season where he gets the ball and you're like, oh, there's no one with him. What are we doing? Someone get up there. And there's like 3 defenders around and you're like, oh, nothing on. And then he's done something, they're all on the floor and he scored. And you just think, well, where did that come from? Like, he'll stick out a foot and you think, oh, he's miscontrolled that. And then suddenly it's like he's turned and the ball's with him and he's put it past the keeper who's still wondering what just happened. Like, that is exciting to watch. Like, it's a fan stream, really. And long may it continue. He's on 20 goals at the moment. Hopefully he pushes on and gets up even higher. But we haven't had a striker with a goal tally that high for a long time.
No, he's such a great player to watch, isn't he? I just love unpredictable strikers like that.
Yeah.
The other man who looks really important for your side is Michael Elise, just 19 years old, but 9 assists for Reading this season, as well as the 4 goals, as we saw on that stat. A real breakthrough season for him. And Championship fan sites, again, have been comparing him to Harvey Elliott, who we've got on loan from Liverpool this season. We fully expect him to go to the top, start for Liverpool, play for England. So what's the view on Elise, and how does he compare to other youngsters that that have made the breakthrough at Reading?
Yeah, he's in Reading terms, he's a generational talent. Like, we haven't had anyone this exciting for a very long time. The comparisons that are being made on the Reading side, fans that have been following us for a while, most exciting breakout star from the academy since Gylfi Sigurdsson, which was quite some time ago now. He is someone who will just pull off something that you don't expect. He will be a game changer. He puts a bunch of it, like, you can see the stats on the screen here, like 9 assists without playing every single game. He plays most games, but he hasn't played every single game. Set pieces, corners, he can score goals. His goal against QPR earlier in the season is one to give a little hint of what he can do. One of my favorites for sure. Yeah, just kind of definitely a breakthrough season. He is someone that if he's not playing Champions League football within 3-4 years, I'll be very surprised. And no, that's not me saying that we're going to go up and get Champions League football. Unfortunately, we're resigned to losing him because he's just that good, you know.
Yeah, and just to do some comparisons, on the left-hand side, Rovers fans, we've got Michael Elise, and then on the right-hand side, we've got Harvey Elliott. You know, the ones I'm really looking at is, so we've got on the left of each one is the club rank, and then on the right is championship rank. So Elise and Harvey Elliott are both club rank first for assists, but also both joint second for assists in the championship. And you're talking 17 and 19-year-olds there. And then also key passes per game, both club ranked second and then fifth in the championship. Again, I just find that absolutely incredible for teenagers. So I think it is really fair to put Elise in the same bracket as Harvey Elliott. And actually what Elise has got in his favour, you know, he's playing in a side that are pushing for the playoffs as well. So I think all the talk of Elise and Harvey Elliott being comparable are really fair. I think obviously the thing Elliott's got on his side, he is 2 years younger. And we've said before on our channel, Dave, how Harvey Elliott is 17 years old is just baffling. Yeah. His touch is just incredible. But
every time I hear that, I have to go and check. I'm like, are you sure?
It's
so, yeah, great player. Yeah.
Yeah, just again, I just find those for 17 and 19-year-olds to be affecting the championship in their clubs in those way is just amazing, particularly when you talk about the players that both clubs have got as well, you know, Howe and Armstrong, and even though Bradley Dack's been injured for us, you know, you're talking that level of player in both clubs. So really impressive from both of them. And then just before I move on, I did see a comment from Fraser. Think Elise is the best player we've played against this year. He was sensational at Ewood Park. Yeah, we were blown away in that first half in particular. So absolutely agree with you there. So Dave, before we went live, I asked you to give us your predicted starting 11, which I have just brought up there. And aside from the obvious two who we've just spoken about there in Howe and Elise, talk us through your side. You know, who are the players in form who might cause Rovers some problems tomorrow night, you know, away from Howe and Elise?
Yeah, for sure. So this is actually predicted based on an injury that happened on Saturday. Normally, we would have Semedo in a more advanced role. Estevez would be on the bench, and then you'd have Andy Rinomhota in that defensive midfield role. But Rinomhota went off injured, and so I'm thinking maybe he won't be ready for tomorrow. This is generally what we do when one of Laurent and Rinomhota are out. We bring in Estevez, who he can play at right back, but he's basically a right-sided creative player, so he can also go in that more advanced role. And then we pull Elise central. The ones that I hope you aren't looking out for, because the less preparation, the better for us, our two fullbacks, Omar Richards, who all the stories today say it's finalised that he's off to Bayern Munich in the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, which is wild for a player that this was his breakout season for us as well, but he's been sensational. Him on the left and Yadim on the right are two of the best fullbacks in this league. They really push on, but they don't push on at the expense of their defensive duties, to be quite clear. Richards, I think he's up there with tackles won or tackles made. I forget the stat. Great preparation, I know, but they can get up and down the wings without leaving a hole. So I think the two of them will cause you problems. The one that will probably, I guess I'll go two angles here. So the one that everyone's going to be talking about is Ejaria, who is a very special player. He'll do things that you aren't expecting. He's very hard to defend against. Earlier in the season, we would often see teams putting, 2-3 players on him when he gets the ball, because just a bit of cover for when he skins one of them. But he doesn't necessarily do it 100% of the time. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it doesn't. So while all eyes are on Ejaria, I'm going to say that probably one of the most important players we have right now is central defender Michael Morrison. Scored our winner in the only goal of the game on Saturday. Scored a superb goal against Bristol City that I encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to go and watch, because you'll not believe he's a central defender. During the course of regular play, not just set pieces or corners, sometimes he just pops up near the opposition goal, and he knows how to score. So couple that with the fact that he's a very solid defensive partner for Liam Moore as first choice. Moore has been out injured for a long time, so we've seen the young player Tom McIntyre come in. Got a great partnership with him too, so whoever he partners, it goes well. Solid at the back, threat up front, and don't let his age fool you. He's a lot more mobile than the pundits think.
Yeah, and I'm just going to come off your side just before we talk about the weaknesses. So again, if we're thinking about Rovers, Michael Morrison with 4 goals there on the left-hand side that we can see. We've been critical of Darragh Lenihan this season and some of the things that you just said there, Dave, about the type of performances that Morrison is giving. So I'd certainly love to see Lenihan up there with 4 goals like Michael Morrison. And then everything you said about Ajaria, that 5 assists and high up on the �WHO-scored.com rating there. So yeah, two important players for you. If I just bring the side back up then, Dave, you've mentioned injuries. You talk about Swift earlier. I think I'm right in saying that Yakou Mete is out injured as well. And then Brynner Motta, if I've said that name right. So where are going to be the areas of weakness for Rovers to hurt Reading tomorrow?
So if Brynner Motta is out, and actually Brynner Motta, I haven't actually confirmed which one it is. So we'll do both and hope for the best. Sorry, Andy. He is one of my favorite players, so I should know that. The partnership between him and Laurent at the defensive midfielder positions, the two in this, has been key to changing past season performances to this season. The fancy term for those that know what they're talking about, I believe, is the double pivot. One goes, one stays. But the weakness for me is that change. Whenever they go out, you start wondering how's that going to go, because they have like a very close relationship. The Instagram side of things suggests it's a bit of a bromance going on there, and a very good understanding between the two, so it works very well. But 𝐁𝐤𝐞 is more than capable of coming back there. He has played as a DM many times. He played for Forest there. He played for us there. But the difference this time round, I think, is the threat that we'll face. So last time we had to do this because it was actually Laurent that was injured, and we brought 𝐁𝐤𝐞 in there and rotated the formation this way. We were playing against a team that didn't offer too much pace or attacking threat. The one thing I remember from the last couple of years of playing you is you do have that, and I presume Armstrong will be playing. I don't know if he's I didn't hear that he was injured. He is the type of striker that gives me nightmares, because we haven't fully clicked on how to defend against that yet. We're getting better. He would have had a hat trick last season. This season I'm worried about him getting one, like a single goal. So see how that plays out. I think the potential change to the defensive midfield pair could be a thing. And then the only other thing, it's funny to bring this up as a weakness after everything I've just said. The last few games, starting with Borough, they worked out how to deal with João. So Lucas João up there as a single striker. I think it's Fry was the centre-back for Borough on the day. Just snuffed him out of the game completely. And we do then struggle to score when that happens. So if a similar thing happens here, that could be a concern. And we have George Puskás back fit, our other striker now. But for some reason, he hasn't been being brought on until like 5, maybe 10 minutes to go. I could see that being a little bit of a concern, getting a goal if João doesn't click straight away.
We are by no means settled at centre half, so Lucas Howe could have some joy tomorrow, actually. So that's not filling me with any great confidence.
It's wind up my day, so there you go.
And just before I come on to our final question, Ollie's asked the question here. What is Elise's temperament like? Is there any potential for him to get wound up? Because Lewis Travis is very good at doing the shithousery type of the game. Could he get wound up by Travis?
Famous last words. I can't wait for his red card after lashing out at Travis now. My concern on that side, he doesn't get frustrated by opposition players. He gets kicked every game because of the type of player he is. Gets fouled every game repeatedly. He starts to get free, gets dragged back. Doesn't react to that very much himself. What his temperament reacts to is not getting the ball. So like it's more like on our side. If we're not getting the ball to him, he can get a little bit frustrated. So I hope that we don't get into a situation where we do that. And the other piece is he does not like being taken off. So if you want to see him wound up, if we've got like a bit of the game left and he gets yanked off, you'll see a bit of a reaction. But I'll take that all day long for what he gives us. But yeah, I don't think you're going to see, the old. I can't remember if we're good to use nasty language on here, but the housing of a certain type.
I said it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. I was like, I think you said it, but you may have blocked it out. Yeah, if that kind of behavior happens, he's more likely to turn it into good energy based on what we've seen before. People have to go after him every game because of what he can do.
I think it is the sign of a good player if you can just turn that and just ignore that. We've seen it for years from Lionel Messi, haven't we? So, if you're a good player if you can just ignore all of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we go on to our score predictions then, Dave, I do have to talk to you about the reverse fixture. Again, a goal after 9 seconds, which was just frankly ludicrous from Rovers. With our form terrible and Reading needing to get back on track at home, are you expecting a quick start from you? Or are we going to see something a bit more patient? Because to be fair, I think you've got both types of performances in you. Again, I was looking at your results. You've had a couple of 1-0 wins, but then you've scored 3 goals and won 4 times as well. So I think you got both of them in you. What are you expecting from Reading tomorrow?
I'll tell you what I'm expecting and what I'm hoping. So I'm expecting probably a slow, maybe scrappy first 10, 15, and then get a goal from us this time, a nice early goal from us, and kind of see it out from there. What I'm hoping for is that we do our business early. I've mentioned it before, but when we leave it to the second half, it's usually not a good day for us. So if we can get a couple of goals before half time, I will feel a lot better about watching the rest of the game. I'm not someone that turns it off. I'll stay to the bitter end, even though whatever's going on, but a lot less nerves when we've got a few early goals. So I'm hoping that's what's going to happen. But I promise you this, not one Reading fan is taking Rovers for granted, regardless of league position, recent form, anything else. The games between us the last few years, it's never a low-scoring affair. There's been some classics. So, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you do get the early goal and shut that game down, teams have had some joy doing that against us this season. Forest did it recently. Stoke did it in December. So away from home, we can struggle when that early goal is scored in the first half. So certainly a good tactic against us, that's for sure. So Rovers fans, I can see some of you are getting your score predictions in now. So please get them in now before I ask Dave his, and I will provide mine as well. But just before we do that, Dave, Chris has just asked the question here. Is there any formations that Reading struggle against? What formations do you struggle against?
Less so a particular formation. It's more defensive rigidity. If you've got a well-marshaled defense that is paying attention to the chance creators that we have, so Joao, Elise, the 2 fullbacks bombing on, if you set up to counter that, we tend to struggle. If you don't leave any space, if you don't let them have a yard and then we'll catch up later, we've struggled there. No particular formation that we tend to have issues with.
Well-marshaled defence is not something you would associate with Rovers this season, so we'll see how that one goes. So Rovers fans, please keep getting those predictions in. I can see some of them are coming in now, so great. If you've not done yours, get them in and I will run through them before the end of the show. But Dave, I'm going to put you on the spot first. What's your score prediction? How do you think the game's going to go?
I've got no way past this in my head, unfortunately. I don't want this to be the score, but I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. So 2 apiece. 2-2 because, as I said, recent years, it's always a number of goals go in this fixture, whoever is hosting. And recent form on our side, still no Mate, still no Swift. It just has a feel to it that we're going to have, it'll be a bit of back and forth and we'll end up with a draw. So I'm going to go 2-2.
2-2. See, I'm just not confident about this at all, and I hate predicting us to lose, but I just look at the run of fixtures, and when you're playing Rovers, your recent form, the chance to get back on track, we are the side that everyone loves coming up against. When you need a run bust or you need something like that, we're the side to play. And I can just see it going exactly how you described. I can see Howe or Elise just pulling something out of the bag early on in the game, and then the game closes down. And I could see it being 1-0, actually, 1-0 Reading. Just get the job done first half, and then we huff and puff and probably don't really do it. So, if I predicted a draw, it'd be through kind of hope rather than expectation. So I've been using my head recently rather than my heart. I'm going to stick with my head. And I'm going to say 1-0 Reading, I'm afraid, Rovers fans. I just have to. It's going to be a tough game. And I think Reading are looking at this one as the chance to get back on track. Barnsley are coming up like a steam train. Cardiff are coming up like a steam train. Bristol City are going to be up there before long. So Reading are going to be spotting the opportunity here. And I think they're going to get the job done. Sorry, Rovers fans. Sorry that I've done that. But that is how I'm feeling about it. So I'm going to run through the predictions, which, to be honest, are more positive than I was expecting, actually. So I'll just run through these. Chris was first. Yeah, Chris was first. There we go. 3-1 Reading, Lenihan red card.
I'll take that. Yeah, sounds great.
Elf, Brereton and 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐿 masterclass. Else is coming in on your 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐿 Ollie. Kevin's gone 2-2. Fraser 1-1. FM 2-2. Michael 1-1. Lots of draw predictions there. Alexander, I like it. Ridiculously hopeful 1-0 Rovers win. I should have said well done to Else as well for predicting the 2-0. So that's 2 Rovers wins predicted there. Dizzy 2-1 Reading. Ollie 3-1 Reading. Armour with a goal. My optimism under Mowbray is gone. I no longer believe. Can't even predict myself to predict a 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐿 or Nyambe goal this week. There you go. It's been the running joke all season, Dave, that Ollie predicts 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐿 to score, so he's not even doing that. Xander, I said Watford would be 0-0. It was 3-2. I said Coventry would be 3-1. It was 1-1. So what do I know? I'm saying 5-4.
That's similar to my record of predicting games. I had us 3-0 over Millwall and we lost 2-1. So I feel your pain.
I'm not very good with predictions. I really am not. I think Forest was probably the one I predicted to lose. I think that one I used my head rather than my heart. I did think we'd beat Coventry at the weekend and we didn't. So it's hard, isn't it? That's why we're all football fans. We love the unpredictability of it. Oh, Alexander's revised. He's changed to a ridiculously hopeful 2-1 Rovers win. Good on you. Gillis 3-1. JH feeling a 1-1. FM, we are Hope FC. You're better men than I am. And go with your hearts rather than my head. Stick with the hope. It's always the hope that kills you. And then Imran has gone 3-1 Reading. So there we go. That's it, Rovers fans. Going to be a tough old game tomorrow. And Reading have certainly got some game changers in there, in Elise and Howe. And if it's not them, certainly 𝐵𝐺𝐻𝐿. So going to have to watch out. Dave, I just want to thank you for giving up your time from across the pond over there. You're back to work. So thank you for giving up your time. I really do appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Never had bad words to say about Blackburn. I'm old, so Tim Flowers was my hero as a kid from England side of things. So remember the '95 team. A lot of friends that we remember that fondly. But yeah, good luck for the rest of the season after tomorrow night. Obviously, tomorrow I hope that all of your predictions are closer to the to the one where we win. But yeah, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
No worries. And thank you, RJC newbie. Thanks to me and Dave there. So Rovers fans, we'll just close out with a couple of things then. Big, massive thank you to Blue Rose Capital for joining 6 Yards Out as sponsors for us on the channel. We are really grateful to Blue Rose, and they will be adorned on all of our stuff on the channel from this point forward. So thank you to Blue Rose. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please hit that subscribe button. Please give this video a like and all of our videos a like. And then most importantly, hit that bell notification button so that you get that notification of when all of our content is live, including tomorrow. It's 8 p.m. kickoff tomorrow, just to confuse everybody. So we'll be live on the pre-show and watch along from about 7:30 p.m. and then into the post-match show, probably 10 p.m., but it could be later depending on how late the game finishes. We'll be there for our usual content on game day as well. So come and join us, tell your friends, bring everyone along. We'll have a laugh on the watch along again, even though we're losing. It's been good fun. So join us again. But yeah, we will leave it there, and I will leave everyone with the sponsor message from 6yardsout.com. See you later. Thanks, Dave. The Rovers Chat YouTube channel is proudly sponsored by 6yardsout.com. They've got retro football from every era with mugs, phone cases and much more. They also have plenty of Rovers goods, including apparel with the famous 94-95 season and this season's kit. Check them out using the link in the description below.